students and staff of Sacred Heart, St Paul's, St Martin's in the Pines, and Damascus College. May God continue to guide us as we take this great tradition into the future.
The Congregation of the Sisters of Mercy had its formal beginnings in Ireland in 1831. Its foundress, Venerable Catherine Macaulay, in response to the needs of the time, established an institution for the care and education of less advantaged girls and young women.
Since the foundation of the congregation, the sisters have continued to act in response to the contemporary needs in society. In 1881, as a part of this heritage, the Sisters of Mercy established Sacred Heart College in Ballarat East for students from Prep to Year 12, with Mother Xavier Flood becoming the inaugural principal.
My favourite things that I remember were midnight feasts and the days pupils had a lot to do with that.
We had cooking and sewing classes down at St Paul's in Lydiard Street with Sisters Perpetua, Aquinas, Aloysius and James. I remember geology excursions with Sister Raphael and then the maths classes with Rafe.
I remember a great deal of playing netball. We always had two teams to practice with after school every day, which was wonderful. And I can remember Sister Therese Power charging up and down the sidelines, coaching and umpiring us.
It was a happy time. We were able to be innovative, develop all sorts of curriculum.
We had various occasions to mark the closure of Sacred Heart, the end of an era. I was principal of Sacred Heart at the time, and we decided that we were going out with a bang, not with a whimper. We had a big reunion to which many previous students of Sacred Heart were invited. A symbolic ritual with turning off lights and locking doors to mark the closure. We had a big party where we bussed the whole school to Luna Park for the day. A beautiful final liturgy at St Alepius Church.
The spirit of Sacred Heart College will be carried into Damascus College.
And then the big pack-up and the procession with library books up to St Paul's, which was to become the Year 7, 8, 9 campus of the college.
And I always appreciate the education that I had from the Sisters of Mercy in Ballarat.
As early as 1941, it was recognised that the people of Ballarat needed a Catholic boys' technical school. In response to this need, the Bishop of Ballarat at the time, James O'Collins, established St Paul's Technical College in 1948. O'Collins invited the Christian Brothers, a Catholic teaching order founded by the Blessed Edmund Rice, to continue their work through the provision of technical education. On the 9th of February 1948, the doors to St Paul's Technical College in Lydiard Street, Ballarat, were opened by Brother Cook, the college's first principal. The Catholic boys of Ballarat now had a place to earn their junior technical certificate prior to obtaining an apprenticeship.
My journey started with St Paul's right here at Lydiard Street building.
Do you remember Lydiard Street? Table tennis in the basement, being able to get from the top floor to the basement in about 10 seconds.
I found that the very small school was a sense of great enthusiasm by kids, by parents, and a whole school community.
One thing that I really loved about St Paul's was the friendships that we made over all the years.
I created some lifelong friends in my time at St Paul's, and I especially remember my favourite all-time teacher, Brother Kingston. He was definitely one of the lads.
The development of woodwork and metalwork within the school, when the boys were making pencil cases in woodwork at Year 7 and then making billiard tables at Year 10, it showed the progress of the skills development of those kids. Mid to late 80s that we looked at and took the opportunity to change our site from Lydiard Street out to Victoria Street, and we went from 1/3 of an acre to 13 acres. And
we got there at one stage and finished our class, and teachers told us to pick up our chairs, go out the front, and then we realised that we were carrying our chairs to Victoria Street.
To show Ballarat that we were moving, each student carried a chair. And so the whole school was on the move.
And at that same time you go out there and Brother Frank Hennessy was sitting in a makeshift chair.
It was lifted off the ground and had a cover on it, so I was under this cover.
That was carried by students all the way to Victoria Street. So yeah, that was a big part of the history of St Paul.
Upon her death on the 29th of February 1960, Miss Alice Fanning bequeathed her entire Mount Clear property to the Sisters of Mercy after being under their care for several years. The property was left to the sisters on the understanding that a school or hospital would be built upon her land.
7 years later, on the 5th of May 1967, the Sacred Heart College senior campus opened its doors to students in Year 11 and 12. Known affectionately as St Martin's in the Pines, Sister Genevieve MacDonald became the inaugural principal, as senior students enjoyed the open spaces of the beautiful bush setting.
I did not really choose to be a school principal. Sister Genevieve was not well, and I was willing to fill in for a couple of years. That said, I gave it my best, and I do not regret for a moment the time that I had at the school as teacher, as deputy, as principal, or as boarding school supervisor. In fact, I loved every moment of it.
I'd like to pay tribute to the Sisters of Mercy, who really valued education, particularly of girls of that time, and who worked incredibly hard to establish our school.
My education at Sacred Heart and St Martin's gave me the skills to live my life to the best of my ability. But above all else, it has given me the most enduring of friendships throughout life's many ups and downs. And this is what I value above all and what I am most proud of.
As a past student of Sacred Heart College, St Martin's in the Pines, and now a current staff member of Damascus College, the bonds of friendship that have lasted over 36 years is so important to me.
A past student recently sent me a copy of the message that I wrote for the 1977 St Martin's yearbook in Eltham. It went like this: to live justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with our God. That's what we try to do at St Martin's in the Pines. We look for the injustices that are present in our school community, and we endeavour to deal with them creatively.
On the 1st of February 1995, Sacred Heart College, St Martin's in the Pines and St Paul's Technical College amalgamated to form Damascus College. With John Shannon becoming the inaugural principal, junior students were housed at the former St Paul's campus in Victoria Street, with senior students out at the Mount Clear site. 16 years later, on the 28th of January 2011, Damascus College came together on the one campus in Mount Clear.
The journey we undertook to amalgamate 3 schools to create a new college was amazing. We wanted to develop a new, diverse and inclusive place of learning and growth for our Ballarat students.
Because it come from St Paul's and Sacred Heart, and you had Damascus at the same time, there was a transition period of people could wear the uniforms of the old school. And I remember myself, I was still wearing the St Paul's uniform.
Blazer
when I was at Damascus.
We lived on Victoria Street, so it was a little bit further to come all the way out to Mount Clear, but I wanted to stay with all of the fabulous friends I've made from Sacred Heart, and they continued on to Damascus.
As 4 schools joined to become Damascus, we have such a strong community and important legacy to uphold. I am proud to be a member of a school with such an amazing history.
And I think it's lovely to be able to see a diocesan aspect, a Christian Brothers aspect and a Sister of Mercy aspect coming together and creating a community.
The consolidation of the school to this beautiful Mount Clear site and the development of this site has also enriched our ability and identity as a school of choice. Being on this one site has enabled our facility development to support the rich learning opportunities available to the young people of the college.
I have a fond memory of the swimming sports for year 11 and 12. I just always had such a good time on those days. It was a great way to bring the whole school together.
For me, the most memorable moments of my association with Damascus, the whole school masses, and I think especially Damascus Day Mass, when there's a real sense of reverence and celebration of who and what we are as a college.
I felt that it was really easy to build great relationships
with people who I felt like wanted me to succeed and who were always approachable and genuinely helpful whenever you had a question or issue or even just to chat.
It's great that we have a strong history and Mercy connection, and we can build our own legacy as a continued part of the Damascus story.
We have been building the Damascus community for 140 years. May we always continue to live by the light of Christ.